This is a rather macabre short attention span webinar, Kelly. Are you wearing black? There's going to be
Yes.
there's dead bodies everywhere in this one.
It's a pretty good bet I'm wearing black.
All right. Well, here's the deal. So you're calling on a company. You're trying to work with the buyer and the person in power. You've met with that person. You've pitched some good ideas, and they say, well, you know what? That's great. It's not something we're going to be interested in. We'll get back to you. And you say, well, can I talk to somebody else? Is there product manager, marketing manager? And they say, no. I'm the one you need to go through. There's the dead prospect, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
What are our options? What do we do here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things. I mean, my first instinct, especially if they're not a current customer. So the overarching issue here is you have nothing to lose.
All right.
You're not doing business with them now. You don't owe this person anything. So my first reaction would be to either try to go around them, above them, or below them. So find out if there's anybody else within the organization that actually is making these decisions. That's the first thing. I would also, want to try to find out a little bit more about what the current situation is. Is this person in fact the buyer? Are they doing a lot of the same kind of work that you want to be doing? And just try to find out more of the facts and the circumstances around it so that you can start to try to find some kind of opportunity or something that you can, take advantage of, so to speak.
So if I was going to take the option of working with or trying to work with this buyer, trying to convince this buyer, how would I do that? What would that conversation sound like?
One tactic I think would be is just to get really real and human with this person and just say, we've had a lot of really good conversations. I feel like you have a pretty good understanding of who I am and what I do. And I now just have to straight up ask you the $1 million question. What circumstances need to be present in order for us to do business together?
And that's a really good question. Why? Why do they not want us to go around them? What's the emotion?
Well, it's fear and it's power. I mean, they want, and I think a lot of it's perception too. They want to be perceived as somebody in power. And this is where we as vendors get treated, sometimes pretty badly by people that maybe in their own pecking order are relatively low. So they want to kind of wield the power wherever they can. That's certainly not universally true, but there are people like that out there. But really, when you ask a question like, what circumstances need to be present in order for us to do business together? And then again, the big thing we talk about, shut your mouth and let this person talk. Even if you have to sit there for 3 minutes in like dead silence.
Right.
It's just as important for you to hear there are no circumstances present where we will ever do business together. I've got a 10-year contract. My brother-in-law is the printer. I hate your company. Whatever that is, it's better you know that because you've asked a direct question. Right. And if you don't like it, if you don't like that question, it's, again, we've had these great conversations, but I just really got to ask you, is there, it could be more closed. Is there any possibility of us in the future ever doing business together?
Sure.
But the buyers don't really want to shut that door permanently either. They want to keep their options open, but again, you got to eat. You got a job to do. So you got to find out if this person, it's all well and good if it takes you 10 years to land an account, but I'd rather have you land it in 2.
Well, I might ask, this marketing manager, could we set up a 3-way meeting? Would you mind calling? Can they come in now? Mm-hmm. Now that I'm here, now that we're on this subject, and if the answer is no, would you mind if I spoke directly with this person? That way, I can state this idea there, and I'll keep you informed of what's going on. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. Now you get into you've asked permission. There is a point at which, if you get in trouble, it's not going to matter because you're not in business anyway. And,
right.
and everyone has that line. I was talking to a client yesterday in Seattle. He said, Bill, you call yourself Northeast Aggressive. And he said, that wouldn't work in Seattle. It was not this subject. It was another one. Mm-hmm. But you know what? At some point, you're going around and you might even include, hey, I met with Kelly already. Mm-hmm. And, I'm here. I don't know. Do you fess up and say I'm here illegally?
Honestly, this is also a case where I might really try to kind of cozy up to the receptionist. And especially if I'm able to go there physically and talk to this person, would be, if you establish that good rapport there and just say, I know I'm overstepping right now. I'm just going to be totally honest. I am banging my head against the wall, dealing with this person. To your knowledge, is there anybody else? And sometimes I throw my boss under the bus too. I'd be like, my boss this account is so important to us. And especially if there's anything historical there, right? Like you used to do a lot of business together and now you don't, or it's some account that is just such a good fit that your boss literally is mad that you're not doing business with them. It's just to say, I got to go back to my boss and explain why I haven't been able to make anything happen here. What do you think?
But you also might say to the buyer, I like to bring my boss in. I want to bring power, you bring power. That might be a good tack to do. That's not bad. All right.
But this is about qualifying too. I mean, I would hope that in a circumstance like this, it's really worth it.
Yeah.
Because again, Bill, we've talked in all of our hot markets about how many different departments within an organization are good targets for buying. If you're with marketing, go to HR, administration, different departments, try to kind of do the end run, get some work done for a different department, and then be able to go, look, I'm already here and there and there. They all trust me.
All right, okay, so let me ask you something, Kelly. If I run into this problem, have I done something wrong? If I started with the buyer and I'm hearing no, have I screwed up?
Well, I think where you're going with that is, should you have started more with the requisitioner, with the person who owns the project? That's definitely true, but I think a lot of us find ourselves in, again, it could be habit where our prospect lists have the names of the people that traditionally we would go to, where, the next step would be, but remember that the conversation that you're going to have with that requisitioner is very, very different than the one that you're going to have with the buyer. You're going to be talking about goals and what the goal of the piece is, what you're trying to accomplish, how you'll know it's successful. And if you're asking those questions of somebody that doesn't know the answers, then you probably have invested too much time in somebody that doesn't really have the power.
Well, this is not unusual for this to happen, for someone to every time you call someone, they say, you know what, that's done by Kelly. I want to talk to you about, but that's done by Kelly. Well, how about this? That's done by Kelly. It's like everything goes to that one person. It's a lot of power. So this is not unusual. You could do it the right way and still end up in that situation.
Yeah, and it could, imagine, this is the reality is that they could just be blissfully happy with the person they're dealing with, and they just, for whatever reason, haven't come right out and told you that they're under contract, or you haven't gotten to that. And that's where I think a really, very well-worded email to that person might be a better option, because then they have the ability to respond back to you in a one-way setting at their, under their control. And you could even tee up some options too. Maybe this is the situation, and if that's the case, it's just perfectly fine to tell me that. Just let me know.
Right. All right. Well, there you go. That's all the power we have right there. It's all the time we have in our short attention span webinar. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Bill.
And we'll talk to you all next week.